Hi, I'm the Moorlander, and this is Moorlander Tactical. Now, are you like me and struggle to pew in the dark? Well, today we're going to have a look at a pistol mounted light from Olight. This is the PL-3, which is a great solution that can be attached pretty much to, I'd probably say 95% of the pistols that are out there. So if this is something that you're after, let's take a closer look. I do apologise, turn the camera on, the wind's picked up a little bit, so if you hear a bit of wind noise, then yeah, I do apologise about that. So, just a quick look inside the box. It's a fairly standard Olight affair. You do get an extra fixation point with this, so we will have a look at this on here, but it's just a little bit wider, so depending on the gap in here, just in case you want to make sure that you've got little to no wiggle room on there, then you can change this, and you get all of the tools and things that you need to be able to change that. Then underneath here you've got some instructions, some extra information. You will notice that there isn't a charge cable with this. So this is the PL-3. There is also a PL-3R, which does have Olight's proprietary charge cable underneath. So I'm going to class this as underneath because mainly when this is on your pistol, this is the underside of it. This is the underside and that's the top. So I'll refer to this as the underneath. So on the underside here on the PL-3R, there is one of those little rings that you see on there which you can charge. But with this one, this doesn't have a charging feature on here. Instead, there's a little catch here. You just lift it up with your thumb and you'll find that this pops out. So on the inside here, it does come with two of Olight's CR123 batteries, but CR123 batteries very easy to pick up. You can pick these up pretty much anywhere. You'll find that a lot of other lights and scopes use a similar battery, so you've probably got some knocking around. To close this, you need to just open this again, this little gate here, push it down, shut the gate shut, close the gate, and that will keep it there for you. There is a rubber O-ring on the inside in here, so as far as the IP rating is concerned for dust and water, it's classed as an X6. X being that they haven't tested it for dust, and 6 being that they have tested it for water. 8 is the highest that you can possibly get for consumer items, so it's still pretty high. If you're concerned about this getting wet, then for all intents and purposes, a 6 is water resistant. You're not going to be submerging this, or I'd like to think you wouldn't be submerging this underwater. It's not rated to be submerged, but if you're out in the rain, even if it's heavy rain, then you should be fine with IPX6. Now, if you're after some measurements on the size for this, it comes in at 81mm by 36mm by 31mm high. Not particularly heavy either. You certainly shouldn't be worried about it. It comes in about 119 grams. This is constructed from a very lightweight aluminium. You tend to find that a lot of these lights are made from, or at least a lot of flashlights are made from the 6061 T6 aluminium, again, which this is made from. And the end here, the reflector, or at least the lens on the inside of this is a TIR lens, and there you can see just on the inside you have your LED in there as well. I believe that these are Osram LEDs. I will double check that, but I'm pretty sure that these are Osram LEDs. You also have a bit of a tactical strike bezel on there as well, should you need to strike somebody with this. But I think mainly it's also there to protect, just in case you do drop anything, and it's to protect that on the front there. As far as the features on how this works, there are 2 light modes for this. So you either have high or you have low. The high light mode on this is 1300 lumens, which is, should you have this shone in your eyes, certainly is a bright light. You can also use this on the low mode, which is 200 lumens. So if you're using this for training, or maybe this has been used for airsoft and you want to be a little bit more respectful to the other players that you are playing against, then you can can put this on its low mode, which does still startle. It does still make you want to turn your eyes away from it, but it's not as bright as 1300 lumens. There are some kickdowns on the 1300 lumens. After a minute and a half, it'll drop down to roughly 30%. Then after 82 minutes, it'll then drop down to about 15%. But let's face it, you know, with those sort of times, you're not really, well, hopefully you're not going to have this on for long. A light like this mainly is used for momentary time. If you have a need to use a light for those sort of periods, then you're probably going to need to have an actual flashlight that you use instead. But it's operated by these two buttons here at the end, but both button does exactly the same job. So you can press either one of these, so just to show that it works with either one. So here is the one on, so there you can see that we're on. Turn it this way and press this again, and here you can see that it is on. Actually, Norman's going to try and climb up on the table now, sorry about that. If you then want to change between the different light intensities, so when it is on, if you do a double press, so we were on low before, hopefully you'll be able to see that that has now then jumped up. And it will keep a memory of that. I've been around the house with this on low mode, but yes, so if you want to increase that, it's a double press, while it's on, and then that will switch those over. There is also a strobe mode on this again, which is very headache inducing, but with that one you need to be able to press both buttons at the same time, and then that will be able to turn that on for you as well. Now, fixing this to a pistol or a rifle, because this can still be fixed to a rifle as well. So here on this, which is a Gucci Glock 17, on the underside this will fit, and I'd say 95% of 20mm pick rails. The only I don't know where I said 95%. Really, it should fit 100% of them. But whilst it's off, you'll see that there is a screw here on the side. So this will allow you to pinch this to put it on. So when I push this screw in, hopefully you'll notice that this side here then opens out. If we just bring this a little bit closer, just in case, you see how that moves there. So this will allow you to be able to get your rail onto there, and that's how it mounts. Now, depending on your rail, and the main reason that I mention this is so you'll find that certain guns have different slots or gates on there. If you take something like the Glock 19, so it's the Glock 17, the Gen 4 version, the gate is, or at least the slot is a little bit further down the length of the pistol. So what you can do is you have these 3 points here. The aim is to get this as close to, if I hold this upside down, by the way, there's no magazine in here and it's definitely not got anything in, but the aim is to get the back of the light as close to the finger guard or the trigger guard as possible. That way, when you're trying to actuate it, whether you're doing it with this finger, which I don't think really would do, but when you're holding it, it's just so that you can bring your thumb down and you don't have to change your grip. So what these different positions do, when you press in this left hand side, it allows you to move these. For me, for this pistol itself, it's perfect here on the on number 2. But I mentioned the Glock 17 with just the one gate on there. You probably have to have it at the end. On this one, if I have it on there, if you'll see, there's a good 5mm or so between the end of the light and the pistol. Now, actually, I say you're supposed to get it as close to there. Really, it depends on your hand. It's in the best or optimal position for you to be able to do that, so that just in case there was something wrong with one of your hands and you had to be able to reach it. But again, you know, it's completely down to you which is the best and optimal position for you. But then once it's on, that slot's on, for me, you can see that there is maybe a millimeter gap there possibly, and then you tighten this, and then what that will do is make sure that it doesn't come off. Now, just to show how this does work, and in fact I'll get back to the holster as well in a second. So if you do have a rifle and you want to attach it to the rifle, works in exactly the same way. Depending on, or just to make sure that it is a 20mm pick rail, you can pinch this, put it on, and then we're on. You know, oh, actually, sorry. Let's put it on here on the top. There you go. You can see that it fits perfectly on there. I'd need to tie that up. It's probably in the wrong position there. It's miles off, but this is just for illustrative purposes, let's say. Now, one of the things that I did want to mention just before I put this on here, so if you have a favorite holster, something that you know you've used and you really like, you're going to need to make sure that it is compatible with one of these lights. This one is definitely not compatible, which is a massive shame because I really do like that holster. So check with the manufacturers if you have a holster in mind and it's one that you are going to want to use regularly. Make sure you check with the manufacturer of the holster, because although a lot of these lights are incredibly similar, there are ever so subtle differences between the Olight Valkyrie PL-3, whether it's one of the Phoenix ones, whether it's a Surefire one, whether, you know, whichever one it is. If you're looking to pick up a new holster for your firearm, just make sure that you double check that it is compatible. Now, I've hand tightened this just with a bit of, you know, but in my testing I've found that it definitely doesn't come loose. This is an airsoft pistol. You definitely don't get as much recoil as you would do with a real steel one. However, if you wanted to make sure, then there is an extra little bit in there so that you can get that as tight as it possibly needs to be. And yes, so for me, I can actuate this with my finger if needed, but generally being able to hold this, have the correct grip on it and actuate it with my thumb is just fine. Now, we are still unloaded, nothing in there, just in case you see me touch the trigger. Now, as far as being able to actuate this, it's just very simple to use. As we've seen, whether you're a lefty or a righty, depending on, you know, which hand is free, to be able to keep a similar grip on it. Now, rather than, you're probably going to have to move this thumb down, but mainly you're just moving it down to here. You don't really have to readjust your hand or readjust the position of your hand. You can turn it on, we're on. And then again, you know, whether you want to just use it for momentary, where you can keep your finger on it, or whether you're just going to turn it on and, you know, do whatever it is that you need to do with it. I will say that if you're looking to do momentary, depending on, well, I guess with momentary, you know, you're having to move your thumb away from having a good grip on the pistol. What you'll also find is, and again, you know, finger is not on the trigger, I'm going to point this towards the camera, is that when you actuate it, you will find that having to put some pressure on that does just move the pistol in either direction. I guess you might be able to do something where you could hold it with the other finger around here. It's not particularly easy to do that, but yes, turn it on, back into position, do whatever it is again that you need to do, and then you can turn it off. With a pinch, instead of rather using your fingertip, if you use the pads on the edge of your finger here, again, you know, you can put that on to flash, again, without really having to adjust your hand much or too much. But especially easier with just, you know, putting it on so that it's on, whether you're on full beam, which is that one, or whether, you know, you're reducing it down for, maybe if it is that you're doing some training with this. It's a very nice solution, really is nice. As I mentioned, you know, there is also a rechargeable version of this with the recharge on the bottom. They also do, so that I think they've got two lines. They've got the Valkyrie line, which is this one, and then there is another one which is the Boulder line as well. And I think they also have, so this is with an LED inside. They also have one of these new LEP versions as well, which is incredibly bright. Again, I guess it depends on how much you want to startle the person, which I guess to some small degree there shouldn't be a limit of how much you want to startle somebody with a light that is used for pew-pewing in the dark like this. It's a great solution. It just works, and that's really what you need something for like this to do. So I will leave some links below so that you can see more from the PL-3. There are links to the Olight site as well, which of course some of those will be affiliate links, so if you do choose to use those, then it does help out the channel. A massive thank you to Olight for sending this my way. Certainly look forward to more tactical content with you guys. I will leave their links below, as I mentioned. I will leave some of my social media links below here for Moorlander Tactical, and also Moorlander EDC, my other sister channel. But for now, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay tactical. Place a bet now. Oh, I suppose you're watching this at the end. Can I get through this without the front door being dinged? That is the question. I'm expecting a parcel. Oh, it's DHL, so it's probably not going to arrive anyway. It wasn't for me. It's for my neighbour. Where were we? After a solution to help you... It's a door. 1 minute. Keep pointing my hand on the end of it, but I promised that my finger was there. What is it? The first rule is don't point something at... What is it? I forget. I do know them, but I forget which order that they go in. Don't point your pistol at something that you're not prepared to destroy. I don't use my left hand much anyway. I used it for about 4 months when I broke my arm and had to wipe my arm with it, but arse with it, but that was about it. So, where were we? Hope you're all having a good Friday, by the way. And enjoy pew-pewing in the dark, but just be careful. Stay safe. Stay Moorlander. Stay tactical. Nearly said EDC then for a second. Have a good Friday. I was looking there.